Hello. Welcome to a new episode of Tilda podcast about FreeBSD. My name is Goran Mekic, and today I'm going to talk about the how you can mm, tune FreeBSD for security more. Of course, I'm not gonna go over every possible topic. I'm just gonna give you what's out there and what you can do. So depending uh, on your program's requirements, maybe you can turn them all on, or maybe you have to turn them all off, right? But let's see what's out there. Once you just give me a second. I don't know about you, but it's 1,000 degrees in here. Anyway, oh, this is really small font. Right. So FreeBSD is pretty secure operating system on its own, but you can't actually have um, assumption about everyone what security needs to be turned on, security features and whatnot. So by default, is FreeBSD is not as secure as it can be for practical reasons, right? If you disable running any program, that's going to be the most secure operating system in the world. But because you have to run something, you have to consume some resources, you have to connect to other services and whatnot. Um, you can't, on a level of a host of an operating system, uh, just disable some things unconditionally. So let's actually start. Let me give you a few interesting tunables in the uh, FreeBSD installation. So no wonder they all start with security. There is this not only in FreeBSD but in other Unixes. There is sysctl, and if you ask it to give me everything, it's gonna give you everything. But if you say, okay, what's the current value of CTL? Okay, so it's 0. It's what I've put into sysctl. What does this mean? Well, if I run this and you know what it means, cool. If you don't, by default, actually, let's try to turn it off and see the difference. All right. So now I, as a non-privileged user, can see everyone's processes, maybe like this, right? You can see root and mecha and maybe something else. No. This is a pretty basic desktop machine, so there is not much running on it. But if you disable this, then all the processes are mine. I can't see the others. So that's how you can tune certain things for your processes, for your users, and you can see that you can disable it saying other users, or if you put both to 0, disable seeing anyone but its own processes. This is for groups, this is for users, right? So if you don't see other groups and users, then all you're left with is yourself. And for example, this one, I should be able to do this, but I'm not. As a sudo, I am. And that's how you you tweak this one on and off. Right, default is 0. We see that it changed from 0 to 0. So it actually didn't change, and this doesn't work. But when I put it, set it to 1, then the user can run it. So I like restricting my user as much as possible. And then if I need something a bit more loosened, then it's done that way. But otherwise, disable everything. You can see that if you type this, you can get a little bit of help, right? Probably there's more here. And you can see what you can do with sysctl and some of the tunables, or maybe even read-only, because one of the things that is here, okay, sysctl is your, come on, where is it? No, no, wrong machine. Right, so you don't expect this to be read-write. Well, it's normal that some of the sysctl nodes are going to be read-only, some are going to be read-write, and some are going to be settable only on boot through the loader conf. So this is one of them. Let's see. All right. There are even others. Let's see. No, I'm setting this without understanding. Yeah, and let's see this one. So yeah, there are. Let's try to set this to something and see what happens. Right, that's what it tells you. You can just set it here. Otherwise, it's read only, and you don't expect to be able to change your CPU just by sysctl. So something, what I'm trying to say is something is totally read-only. Some tunables can be set only during boot, and they have to go into /boot/loader-conf. And some are what we call read-write. And some appear after you do something. For example, I have this CBSD. So if I ask, is there anything with the CBSD, it's going to tell you, okay, there are some things in it, right? And this is for ZFS. You can see that I have those data sets in ZFS. So once you create a data set, some sysctl is going to appear. I thought it's also for some jails, but maybe is for yeah. You can generally set parameters of your uh, jails, like set default values, and then LFS, lin pros, proc, right? And there is, as you can see, a lot of tunables you can actually turn off or on. And if you run this, and let's just populate this, I am not even interested in these. So you can, in CBSD, even further tune what you need and what you don't need. And we saw that through devfs, you can expose additional hardware to your jailed processes. When I say that, I mean, for example, for my VNAND jails, well, for anyone's VNAND jails, you will need a BPF, I think. Uh, but certainly to run PF, you will need this one. You can include other stuff, like you can see I was experimenting with OpenGL inside the jail, and DRI and DRM have to be available to the jail. But I'm still not satisfied how this works. On the other hand, audio is good. I'm kind of into audio since, I don't know, since I remember. Uh, so, no wonder that audio setup on my machine is always first to get attention. That means that audio jails get all these DSPs, mixers, and sound statistics, not statistics, stats. Uh, okay, now I have to show you what that means. Right, there is, what do I have here? Okay. So, what I'm trying to say is that none of this is available to jail by default. You have to unhide it, maybe set the mode, maybe to sometimes even uh, allow certain groups, because if I take a look at PF, it's read write for the root and nothing else, and it's root and wheel. And here it's read write for user and group, nothing for the rest. And the group is unbound, not wheel like here. So what I expect to see here is a bit different permissions, right? And it's because process running as dhcpd, no, sorry, uh, is it not running for me or what? Oh yeah, running as dhcpd. It's a server for dhcp. It's running as this, yeah, as user dhcpd, but group unbound. The reason why unbound is because it's gonna talk to unbound and it's same permission problem. So I used unbound as a group to give permissions inside the CBSD jail to accessing PF. There, uh, this is actually on the host shared with the jail. So you can see where I'm trying to go with this. Um, It's all um, tunable for you, what you can see inside and outside of jail. And even if you're, yeah, I showed you JConstruct. This is bconstruct for beehive, and do if you figure out how JConstruct works, this is pretty much similar. Now, for VM for beehive, you can even run into jails, and maybe you can run it on no interface, so it doesn't have access to the network. Maybe you're working on some exploit or something, and you don't want even a possibility of something leaking, right? And there is quite a few, uh, right? Maybe you're sound engineer on some other operating system, experimenting on some other operating systems. So Beehive has audio card, virtual one. You can tune it through this, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of tunables that you can uh, turn on or off, or do it differently. Or, for example, through ZFS, you can say, okay, I don't want all available space being presented as available to my CBSD jail, and you can shrink that, limit that with quota. No, did I miss it? But yeah, I know that there is an option to say, okay, this is um, data set that is limited, and I think it's through set, but yeah, oh yeah, it's a set get variable, not I think it's this. Ah, did I miss it? Come on. Okay, so I wanted to ask it about the quota for this one. What did I misspell? Oh, okay. Extra C. So you can see that there is no quota for this one, but you can limit it because, for example, that's you don't expect that jail to grow at all, but maybe some wild process starts logging in there, and you suddenly need to limit it because you'd rather your processes in one jail break than the whole system and every other jail having uh, disk shortage. Right? I mean, I'm making up examples that are how to say plausible. You can or you don't have to use them. There is a thing called oh yeah, I didn't show one last thing from the uh, debugging. This is really useful to be disabled in production. Well, on any system for most of the time, if you're a developer, you're gonna debug your processes, but and you're gonna need it. But let's see what happens if I want to run. Oh, what? Let's say echo. Right? Nothing happens. It just echoes what I give it as an argument, but you can run it as this one, as just without arguments, and it's gonna echo an emptiness. And you can try to run it in a debugger. This is LLVM debugger, and you can tell it to run, but ptrace failed, right? What actually happens is that, let me just demonstrate that it's gonna work like this, right? It launched and exit status of 0 means everything is peachy. So Echo didn't do much, right? Can I run it multiple times? Yeah, perfect. Can I run it with different? Oh, yeah. Okay, I obviously didn't debug much. But debugger, as you can see, can run your program, which is not so strange. Shell does it too. But debugger runs it so that it can attach to your program and change what is called the flow. Uh, it can basically change your program. What it does with the breakpoints and the programming debugging stuff. But the idea is that uh, while LLDB is not going to do it intentionally, maybe you can have malicious process and uh, it's going to change it differently, not for the debugging purposes, but for the malicious purposes. And that's why you want to disable debugging in production, so when you even try to run it, it's just going to fail. Okay, so there are quite a few sysctl tunables, and I invite you to uh, explore what sysctl has to offer. There's quite a lot in security, right? But otherwise, there's quite a lot. What is this? 11 and a half thousand, right? So you can tune quite a lot of stuff with it. And for example, by default, you cannot ping uh, from jail unless you allow raw sockets. So maybe you don't need them, and you should limit as much as you can. Okay, so there is one thing two things that I'm going to show you that are going to, uh, well, I would like to say that they are the nice practice of most admins. I hope most admins do that. And one is, okay, I'm gonna need. No, I'm not. So, not even here. Sorry. Oh, I didn't do it here. Okay, I do it on my router if I remember correctly. Yeah, there is this thing called blacklist D. If we look at what's wrong, it's just one process. But this blacklist D is going to talk with the PF on one hand, and is going to use this anchor to add specific rules to disable access for the blacklisted IPs. And it's that's the PF is what blacklist communicates on one end, and processes like SSHD are on the other end. Maybe. All right, something like this. So if there is a DDoS or whatever dictionary, but brute force attack on SSHD for a login, SSHD is gonna tell BlackD, hey, this IP address is bugging me. Can you do something about it? And blacklist is going to say, yeah, why not? Think I'm doing this. Like that. Valid argument. Oh. Blacklist D. Okay. I obviously can't use it. I wanted to show you that there is a way to list your rules and IP addresses that are tabled. Wait, I can do this. Can do this, right? What does it have to go before? This is one of these services that you're going to set up and forget about it. That's my problem here, because it does everything automatically for you. It's just you set it up once and you don't care. And now I can't list rules for the anchor, which is embarrassing. I haven't done it in, I have to admit, in years. Huh? Wait, I'm doing the right thing? I, I don't know. I'm not gonna get stuck on here. I'm going to provide uh, the exact command in the description, but I just read on OpenBSD. This is, I guess, the right command. But yeah, okay. Uh, Blacklist D is one of them. Is one of the security uh, programs, and I think it works really good with the DDoS attacks, with basically SSH attacks. But other programs have blacklist D support too. I know Postfix has it too, and they're all going to get their specific uh, blacklists based on this anchor here. So you're probably going to have like 22. Oh, maybe it's that. Huh, yeah. Okay, so the trouble was that the rules are based on port numbers, not port names, right? Okay, so you know that on port 25 is your smtpd, and you can see that nothing configured um, anchor for it. While here you have this, and how is it? The I don't know. Does this work? Yeah. So these are all the rules, and some of them are for this one. So you can check what is it gonna do for the bad guys. What I also wanted to show you is okay. I'm gonna just play them and say, okay, I have no idea what PKG audit does, and it says zero problems in zero install packages. Okay, not a good demonstration because besides installing packages, PKG can do some other stuff for you, like audit dash capital F is gonna. All right, this is better. It's going to download the database of vulnerabilities and is going to check the current package versions against that database, and it's going to tell you, hey, you got these vulnerabilities and these two packages, right? And if you wanna, I mean, if you just Google this, it's gonna tell you what's the vulnerability. But for convenience, for the FreeBSD, you have this link, and when you go there, there are all vulnerabilities for curl, or for this is for Chromium, and this is for curl. So if I upgrade, let's say if I'm gonna do something, what? Not found? Oh, come on. Okay, I must be online. Okay, I wanted to show you that sometimes upgrading maybe solves some of these, but I don't know. I'm having some kind of problem. Anyway, this is what can aid you in a day-to-day administration, and if you run this in every jail with a jail name, update packages and audit database vulnerability database regularly, you can be notified, for example, through cron via email. Hey, these jails and these machines have vulnerable packages, and watch out. If you can turn them off, if you can't, then watch out, right? But it can give you an early warning that there's something wrong. Uh, and maybe it's not yet exploited, but it's there. Uh, so watch out. Uh, and I think it's good to do this audit as often as possible, right? Because it's really fast and it uh, doesn't obstruct the um, what it's being uh, used on the server. It's almost no resources, so this is really cool way of seeing really fast what vulnerabilities you're susceptible to and are opened to. Now, there is also auditing of FreeBSD security events. But it's a really, it depends. If you want to audit everything, it's going to spew a lot of things at you. If you want to do something specific, then, sorry, give me just a sec. If you want to audit the system, then I would just like to tell you that in the handbook, chapter 17 is exactly that. So check it out, check what it provides, because it really depends on what's running on your system and how do you uh, monitor, how do you rotate the audit trails and so on. But yeah, there is auditing of your operating system of FreeBSD, and you can basically check that what this can do. You're gonna run it. You're gonna sniff whatever the auditing is sniffing, and then we're gonna check on those trails. So there is even built-in sort of IDS, you might call it that, but it's actually auditing what happened. IDS is intrusion detection system. Snort being the probably the most popular, but yeah, the you can see a lot of stuff uh, going on, but take care. And I mean, you need to filter them somehow. And probably every system administrator is as good as the logging system he uses. And warlog is inevitable, right? So do take care of your logs, and sometimes sometimes you want to set this up. Sorry. You want to set alias who the root actually is. So, like here. And you're going to get mails for the root on that jail or host, and do check them. I don't do that on a desktop, but servers are another story, right? You should be warned if there's some fishy activity on your server. And even better if you can use, for example, oh, give me just a second. Sorry. Um, you can maybe use smart, let's say, tricks. So you can say that every from is going to be either jail or host, and you're going to know by the from field who sent the report. So yeah, you can do something like this, or say instead of me at my domain, maybe you can say me plus cloud one, because maybe you have multiple clouds, depends on how you scale and so on. So in combination of to and from, you know who's sending and Sorry, something's itchy. So you know who's sending and from which cloud, um, because you might name your machines in a similar way or something. So denoting what's going on is really important. Hopefully not Corona. Anyway, um, logging is all we can do about security, and if it's not preemptive, uh, proactive, or whatever you call it, doing it uh, ahead of time, like tightening your firewall, your SSH configuration, your um, other services, and so on. And depending on how well good you are with programming, maybe you can even extend that. For example, there's a Mac framework by TrustedBSD. It's in FreeBSD for, I don't actually know, uh, since I'm using it, and that's 2016, but it's probably older. Mac framework is a framework for granting permissions inside a kernel to different um, uh, different processes, different users. I don't know. At the end, you're always granting permission to a process. It's just that that process is running on behalf of some user. So, uh, Mac framework can be used to extend the security model of FreeBSD by just creating uh, kernel loadable module, and it's a way to also grant permissions to I don't know. For example, in audio, you usually want um, real-time permissions for non-root users. I'm not personally using that, but that's one real-world example, and you would like to be able to give that process, that user, ability to have real time uh, threads. And I think there's even an example that does that in ports, but I'm not sure. Anyway, in theory, you could run Nginx without ever being root if you say, okay, uh, user www inside this jail ID can open a port lower than 1024 even if he's not root. So you can see that on the development side there is even more possibilities how you can squeeze more from your FreeBSD in terms of security. So maybe you don't even have to program. Maybe there are already modules for Mac framework that do whatever you need to do. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a possibility. There is this uh, technology that enables you to extend it even more if you need it. Now, FreeBSD security, like any security, is infinite topic. It's a never-ending story, and it includes computers, but Well, we saw in the history of computing of IT that uh, human error is a big security risk as much as some unsecure protocol. So when I say that it transcends computers, it really does to biological beings not showing their password uh, online for anything, or if you're typing your password, don't sit next to a huge window on the street. At least hide it a bit, right? What I'm trying to say is not all technical. And in order to keep it in the sane amount of time frame, I'm going to uh, stop here. I think you get the picture how the uh, intrusion detection, auditing, and tightening security on FreeBSD can look like, but it's a never-ending story, honestly. So I would like you to consider a few projects to donate to. One is uh, Clonos, which is um, umbrella project for CBSD CloneOS. Well, everything CBSD related. Recently, there is my B project. It's also under umbrella of Clonos. So, yeah, think about it. There is still a center, which is hackerspace in Novi Sad that is dedicated to knowledge and uh, we teach more than just IT. We're interested in any kind of knowledge, so Blender, photography, design, music, everything that we can teach, that we have experience with, and to actually check out our work, you can check out this page, which will redirect you to a proper YouTube channel with our lectures. So, uh, important is that uh, we pledge that our uh, tutorials and videos will and always will be free for everyone. So if you learn something, perfect. That's why it's there. Just leave us a comment or subscribe or follow or give us a sign that we're doing something good or that we are doing something bad. So whatever you think is the appropriate comment to make us better teachers in the future. Oh, about streaming on other platforms, we tried it, and it's kind of a big topic to explain why we are on YouTube, but we are. Uh, the reasoning is that okay, let me put it. The short answer would be YouTube gives us the least amount of hassle that we had over time, and I don't want to go through what happened, but yeah, this kind of worked for the team best. Hope you understand and that you're fine with that. We're going to make a pause over the August and then return with our lectures. somewhere probably mid-September. So subscribe to new updates about what we are teaching next. And see you in just a little bit more over the month. Bye bye.